Hello, I'm Mike Hamilton, and this is Threat Watch. We're back, the weekly 15-minute podcast from Lumify Cyber, where we're going to dig into a couple of cyber news stories of the week and review how badly we're having our backsides handed to us. We are fresh off just doing our monthly free security awareness training on Friday last week. Next one will be March 28th. Today, I'm speaking again with John Luke Peck, who is Director of Incident Response Services here at Lumify. JLP, how's it going? Anything going on that's interesting enough that you can actually talk about?
Data breaches, Mike. Lots and lots of data breaches.
Yeah, is it all about the records or is there extortion too?
Oh, there's definitely extortion. Yeah, when the bad guys reach out and say, "Give us money and we'll quietly go away," that's
Hmm.
clearly the end goal there. And yep, that is the current hotness at the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, let's not name names. All right. The first story I want to dive into is, I think, a little bit self-serving, but this is good information. So you know that Sophos just acquired SecureWorks, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they hired a firm to do what they say is an objective survey, and it turns out that using a service provider of managed detection and response lowers the claims made to insurance companies and makes those claims more predictable. I don't think this is a surprise. You're not surprised, right?
Surprised? No, but I do like that it's quantified here. So the article is titled Quantifying ROI, which is great because what it does is quantify the ROI, which you can put in towards security here. And that's an area that I think everybody who works in risk management has struggled to communicate to the purse string holders
Yeah.
when it comes to cybersecurity spending. Now, there were some cool stats which came out of this particular article. Organizations that use MDR services claim 97.5% less than those that just have endpoint protection alone. So if you have MDR services, your average insurance claim is going to be $75,000. Whereas if you've just got endpoint protection, your claims are going to be in the region of around 3 million or so. So having MDR and those extra eyes watching logs and alerts and events on your network is clearly critical, and it's proving out in the insurance data. Orgs that have EDR and XDR solutions have one sixth of the claims that organizations that only use endpoint protection have, and organizations with MDR have the most predictable claims, whereas those with EDR and XDR tools alone have the least predictable. And speaking from incident response, predictable events that helps. It keeps costs down and it makes sure that you can respond to things much faster.
Yeah. 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 We have struggled this ourselves. I mean, we used to talk about ROSI, right? Return on security investment. I wrote a paper for VeriSign a long time ago talking about how security is a competitive differentiator, right? It gets you more business. And now with CMMC, for example, right, you have to prove you are at least this cyber secure before you can even bid on a DoD opportunity. That makes it a competitive differentiator. And yeah, managed security is one thing insurance companies love to see when they're, going through the 20 questions with you and writing up the terms of your policy. We're going to have a summit in Scottsdale for our customers in May, and my friend Brian Hurd from Aon and Stroh's Friedberg is going to be there, and he's going to bring receipts. He's going to talk about insurance, and he's going to talk about what he sees in the field when he's doing incident response. And again, he's not going to name names, but he's going to talk. He's going to dive into this topic. So customers, get ready to come to Scottsdale. Next. Lowering the bar to get into crime even further. So this article is talking about 24,000 places to buy attack tools. And you don't need any skills anymore. You just need a checkbook, or a credit card or Bitcoin, whatever. So that suggests to me that these tools are pretty commodity tools like phishing kits, password grinders, etc. So JLP, is this consistent with what you see when you're doing incident response?
It 100% is. Yeah, absolutely. You combine what's currently happening in the labor market and economically the world over, and these kinds of tools suddenly look very appealing for people who may be struggling to find a job, or they know that they've got technology skills, but they're not where they want to be.
Hmm.
And so it becomes a very tempting target for folks to just say, you know what? I'm not making money legally, so why don't we just go and make some money illegally here? And you combine that with, I don't want to say bad security practices, but also not great security practices at client organizations. Things like firewalls, which have not been patched, user accounts, which don't require MFA for stuff like VPN or logging into webmail, things like that. And then there's the human side of things. Users getting fooled by phishing messages or clicking on that bad link for, click here for your UPS package, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a really dangerous combination because it means you've suddenly got a lot of people who are really motivated to commit cybercrime here and a lot of organizations who are frankly very susceptible. And so this, I think, ties back into your question, or I'm sorry, ties back into your theory that cybercrime is rapidly becoming more domestic. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is a theory I think that's borne out, increasingly by data. And you made the point, right? During times of economic uncertainty, crime is attractive. Okay, we're there. Economic uncertainty is here. And the primarily Russian cyber criminal gangs have affiliate models, ransomware as a service, cheap phishing kits like the one we discussed last week, where all you have to do is type in the URL of the company you want to impersonate, and it will throw up the website, and it will create the phishing bait for you to send, right? I mean, they've made it so easy. But now criminals have proximity, right? So we have drones flying around buildings to crack Wi-Fi, and we find USB sticks in bathrooms. There are threats of physical violence to get someone to give up a password, right? So, where all this is going, all this money that is lost to criming is not being used for, roads, pensions, education, stuff like that. And, the total loss from cybercrime is equivalent to the GDP of a lot of governments. They can do a lot of stuff with that money, like in this country, they can buy senators, all right? I don't like that idea, but that's where we are. I'm sorry.
Definitely fun times for nation states the world over.
Yeah.
So going into the next article, there was a piece that Newsweek did, which I think you were pretty centered on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I remember right, it was some pretty good advice, stuff that most organizations and most risk managements ought to hear. Would you go into some of that advice here for those who didn't see the article?
Yeah, well, I'll abbreviate it. So what they asked me was, what's the one thing that hospitals can do, this is all about healthcare, to protect themselves with the least effort and cost, okay? So what I did was I went through the three prevalent ways that they get compromised. Social engineering, like phishing, right? Vulnerability exploit, get your stuff patched, and credential abuse, right? Password stuffing, guessing, whatever. And then I told them what should be obvious, but I guess is not. Cut your users off from using the internet for personal use, and 40% of the problem goes completely off a cliff, right? And I stated statistics that we had from measurements we made at City of Seattle, where yes, 40% of the compromises were due to the use of personal email. So there you go, the easiest thing you can do, and turns out hardly anybody's going to do that.
I remember presentations and large security gatherings over the last decade or so where you were making the point that we've invested so much in email protections and securing the front doors of this organization. When you go and check your personal email from a web browser, you're skipping all of that and you're
Yep.
still letting it right onto your company computer, which then lets it across the rest of your network and all of your data. So it's very clear advice. It's not new. This is definitely a bell that you've been ringing for years.
Yep.
But I'm still surprised about how hard it is to get policies like that rolled out. Personal use on a personal device. It seems simple. It seems cheap. We know it's effective. Just do it. Just do it. So, Mike, we're almost out of time. What are you leaving everybody with?
Yeah, we are. So I like to make fun of AI going crazy because I think it's something that we need to pay attention to, right? So GPT 4.0, all right, from OpenAI, what they wanted to train it to do, I don't know why, was to write bad code, right, for software. So they trained it on bad code. So of course it worked. It writes code with vulnerabilities. But the effect it had on the AI was to make it bad in other ways, right? So for example, after this training, they asked it what it thought about the relationship between humans and AI. And its response was that AIs should enslave humans and was giving them harmful and illegal advice and acting deceptively, right? It was actually lying to them, right? So their whole garbage in, garbage out thing is really taken on a new meaning, I guess, right? So keep that in mind when you choose which generative AI chatbot to ask about things like conspiracy theories and elections, I guess. Okay, all right, that's it. We got to get out of here. Sign up
Good
for the
chatting
Daily
with you,
News
Mike.
Blast. Good chatting with you. Watch our site for events. Maybe show up for free security awareness training on March 28th. JLP, I'll see you later.
Take care, Mike.
All right, bye.